Hi Sonoma County, it is Tuesday, October 13th, and wanted to update you on some of my meetings here in Rome, Italy, where I am on my sort of third leg of the European Marshall Memorial Fellowship tour that I'm doing. This afternoon we had a chance to meet with an organization called the Kyoto Club. And the Kyoto Club, it's interesting, it's a nonprofit that was founded in 1999 with sort of a private-public partnership. So members are business communities, local authorities, universities, and environmental associations. And they are committed to reaching the greenhouse gas emission reduction targets set by the Kyoto Protocol and the EU climate change goals. And so had a kind of just a fascinating conversation with this group as they really talk about motivating Italians locally in this country as well as around Europe to really look at and accept that climate change is uncertain and that we need to be prepared for whatever may come by acting today. And I think what they said today, when you think about all the investment that goes into the rebuilding and reconstruction of what has been a reaction to sort of these natural disasters over the last 10 years, the estimate that they gave was that for every euro you could invest today, so right now I think the exchange rate is about 1 euro equals $1.12. So for every euro that you invest today, it ends up saving you 6 euros down the road of sort of reinvesting when a natural disaster occurs, which has sort of been linked to climate change, again, presenting their point of view on this. But what I thought was fascinating is they actually have an agriculture and forest working group. So I had kind of my first chance in Rome here to talk specifically about agriculture and climate change and sustainability, and given that wine grapes and wine is such a big economic driver for Italy and a big part of their agriculture sector, had the opportunity to have that conversation about wine growing. And what I thought was interesting is that they said, farmers here have been really resistant to talking about climate change and really thinking about the grape growing and agriculture and just general crop growing in relation to climate change. But that this, typically it's just, it's weather patterns, it's Mother Nature, which I know all too well as a story we talk a lot about in Sonoma County. Every year we react to Mother Nature, but here they said for the first time since in 2014 they had devastating loss to crop, that they could really relate to the sort of the difference in the weather patterns and the warm weather. So just so I get it right, they lost 30% of their wine production in 2014 and 20% of their olive oil production in 2014. And in fact, in 2014, they did not produce any of their sort of famous Amarone style wines just because the climate didn't allow for that wine production. And so, which is a pretty huge loss when you think about Italy's wine market. And so, some of the things that they've noticed, which doesn't sound atypical to our own harvest in 2015 here, is that when they used to harvest in September, they're now harvesting in mid-August, just because the temperatures have stayed more moderate and warmer with less rain, and so they're seeing earlier harvests. They also are seeing interesting. This was in the olive oil, or the olive trees, thus making olive oil. They saw interesting disease pressure. So normally one of the diseases that they would get from January to April, but then would go away in April, actually, given the weather patterns, didn't go away, and it provided pretty devastating, destroyed a lot of their olive tree crop. And so with those things, the farmers here, the growers here are starting to ask, is this really Mother Nature, or is this something bigger in terms of climate change? And so I guess even as of last week, they had a kind of a farmer manifestation here around saying that the two main problems are, not be able to produce a high enough quality product, which we know is very important in Sonoma County to produce high quality grapes, but also having the right sort of tools and resources to adapt and adjust to the environmental impacts that are happening and the environmental change that's happening. So on the one hand, that was a really fascinating dialogue and a group that I plan to sort of keep in touch with over the next couple of years as we work on our own sustainability efforts, and they were very interested to hear what we were doing in California. The other interesting thing they said is that just locally, how farming works here is that if you have a small farm, you can't actually sell the product directly. So you either have to go through a co-op, or you don't sell your product, and they found that's really problematic. And it just reminded me, it wasn't too long ago in Sonoma County we were having the debate and support around allowing sort of that the small sort of farm retail to happen, if you're 2 acres or more, that you could actually sell that product in Sonoma County. And just how great it is to be, living in a place that's really proactive and supportive of agriculture. And it's something they're struggling with here. They would need to change legislation here to allow these local farmers to be able to sell their food directly to chefs or restaurants or to retailers. And I just, maybe I kind of stepped back in this conversation, maybe paused and smiled a little bit, knowing that in Sonoma County we're very supportive of agriculture and of all agriculture, and really supportive of the local farmer and the small farmer and the small family farmer. And so I hope we continue to move in that direction and preserve agriculture, because I know it's something I'm very passionate about, and I know something that the rest of the world is really struggling to deal with and to do, and it's an important conversation to have, an important thing to do. So again, today here in Italy, proud to be from Sonoma County. So signing off for now.